I'm Norman Robinson, and welcome to Affordable Housing Matters. On today's show, we will visit with an organization working to establish affordable home ownership and rental opportunities for the residents of New Orleans. We have a great show planned for you today, so don't go far.
My biggest fear in the middle of my addiction was that I would never be able to get over it and that my kids wouldn't have a father. I started thinking, you know what? This isn't my story. For the longest time, fear held me back from ultimately being who I wanted to. I had to become a better man to be a better father. It's important to me that my kids are empowered and truly believe that if they can think it, they can do it.
People's Housing Plus seeks to address the affordable housing crisis in New Orleans that continues to prevent an increasing number of low to moderate income families from finding and remaining in affordable and safe housing. Joining me now to further expound on the works of this great organization is the CEO of People's Housing, Mr. O.G. Alexander. Thank you for joining us on Affordable Housing.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
People get excited when they hear the term affordable housing, and they often ask, is there such a thing in the city of New Orleans, and what say you?
It's a very good question, and there absolutely is. You know, obviously affordability is relative, but what we do know is that our folks, our culture bearers, our service industry folks, our civil servants are having a harder time finding housing that they can afford near where they work.
And so here comes People's Housing riding to the rescue.
Yes.
What is People's Housing?
So People's Housing Plus is the result of a strategic merger between 3 New Orleans-based affordable housing nonprofits: Home by Hand, Crescent City Community Land Trust, and Two-Land Canal Neighborhood Development Corporation. The Greater New Orleans Foundation did some research during the pandemic about the viability and the sustainability of the nonprofit sector, and the results were kind of dire. So they created a fund, a Strategic Partnerships and Mergers Fund, that really aimed to take small nonprofit organizations with similar missions and gauge their interest in corporate restructuring. And you know, so we went through that program, and what we were able to do is take, again, 3 organizations that had similar missions, but you know, that compete for the same limited resources, combine them to create a larger organization, specifically a Black-led organization, alleviate redundancies, and provide a greater level of service for our residents.
Why was it important to have a particularly Black-led organization?
Again, historically, most of your small nonprofits are led by people of color, and your larger organizations are led by those who are not people of color. So you know, so it's important that an organization represents the people that they're serving from top to bottom. We're very intentional about that. Our board president is not only an African American woman, but she is a recipient of one of our homes. So it's very important that we've got representation of the community at the board level, at the executive level, at the staff level, and even down to the partners and the folks that we work with.
So this was brought about due to strategic research. And they discovered, I suspect, that there had been a disconnect between what these organizations wanted to do as opposed to how they connected with the people who needed to be served by them.
Yes, yes, and equally as important, the long-term sustainability. There are a lot of great nonprofit organizations working across a number of different sectors, but it's a struggle. Again, they're limited resources that a lot of organizations, regardless of mission, are fighting for. So this was about creating an organization that had, again, not only a greater level of service, but long-term sustainability.
So this is like a central clearinghouse, as opposed to 3 organizations competing against each other. you're now working in unison.
Yes, exactly. Really what we're trying to create is a one-stop affordable housing shop where we're not only addressing the affordable housing supply issue, but we're creating a number of different resources, a number of different options for folks within the organization. So we not only do we build affordable housing, single family for home ownership, that is our ultimate goal. The mission of the organization is to create African American wealth, to shrink the African American wealth gap through affordable housing and economic development. So we build the homes. We provide financial fitness training in-house, so we're preparing people not just to purchase homes, but really what we're addressing is African Americans' relationship with money and lending institutions. So we've got financial fitness on the front end. We build the homes, we shepherd families through the process into the home purchase. And then we've got a comprehensive stewardship program that we're creating that helps keep people not only stay in their homes and keep their homes, but really actually grow their wealth.
So I'm a viewer and I'm listening to you and I'm all excited about what you have to say. And I'm thinking to myself as I'm watching you, how do I get involved? How do I get access to what Mr. OG is talking about?
Well, it's simple. You know, a lot of the folks we serve are word of mouth referrals.
Okay.
But our website, if you go to our website at phplusnola.org, you'll find all the information about our financial fitness courses. We've got one coming up on November 4th, as a matter of fact.
Oh, fairly soon.
Fairly soon, and that information is on our website. So there's information about our housing programs. There's information about our financial fitness. There's information about our stewardship, and I think lastly, we are also, as I mentioned, homeownership is our ultimate goal in creating wealth. But the on-ramp to homeownership is stable, affordable rental housing. So we're also creating rental housing. Let's talk
about that. Stable, affordable rental housing in this environment where insurance rates are going up, where mortgage rates are going up, and landlords are very pensive about their financial situation. How do you reconcile that?
Right. So we're a city of renters, and you know, of the 51 or 52% of folks that rent in this city, you know, 60% of them are cost burden. They're spending more than 30% of their income on housing expenses. So I think what we try to do is be intentional about it. When we talk about affordability, not just affordability, but permanent affordability, we are modeling our projects to be affordable, affordable for the long term. And when we say the long term, I mean 99 years. So the idea is we're creating housing that is affordable, that people can count on, very, very small rent increases over the years. Again, we have to be very, very cognizant of how we use our resources. So if we're going to create affordable housing, we want those resources to create affordable housing for as long as we can possibly get it to do. So, and again, if you're in stable, affordable rental housing, that puts you in a better position to start saving, to do any kind of credit repair that you might need to do, and really leads you to a path to home ownership. And we provide those services from start to finish.
So, Mr. OG, I'm having problems with my credit. How can you help me?
Well, again, we have some financial fitness services in-house, but we also partner with some great organizations like Neighborhood Development Foundation, where we can actually send folks who might need credit repair, who might need a plan. They go to Neighborhood Development Foundation and work with Fred Johnson and Rosalind Washington, and they come up with a plan. Then they come back to us, and we make sure that folks are following that plan. So we don't do this alone. We do this in partnership. We can't do this alone. So anything that we can do in-house, we do. If folks need additional assistance, then we've got great partners that we've been working with over the years that we can send people to. But again, the ultimate goal is what we're trying to do is make sure that folks have one place where they can go, one constant touch point from the beginning of their process through home purchase and ideally for years after.
So how has this made things better for people who are in need of affordable housing and not only in terms of owning a home, but finding a place that is affordable to rent?
If I could sum it up in word, I just have to say stability. You know, there's stability, there's peace of mind. We know that there are a lot of other outcomes that are associated with stable housing. There are health outcomes, there are financial outcomes, there are mental health outcomes. So what we're trying to do is provide stability and predictability for folks, and making sure that they know what's coming up, and if that unanticipated consequence happens, that unanticipated financial hardship comes along, that we're being proactive about it, and that we can provide resources for folks to help them navigate it.
You mentioned mental health. That's a big concern. A lot of people are experiencing mental trauma. So how do you assist them in their need for an affordable place to live?
Right, and you know, and that's our stewardship department.
Okay.
We have a stewardship manager on staff who is the direct liaison to community, to our organization, and to all of the resources that we have access to. You know, we can't be all things to everyone, but over the years we've created some great partnerships, and we as an organization, as a nonprofit organization, just have access to resources that your average individual does not have access to.
Right.
So it's not only providing information to folks, to letting them know what's out there for them, but it's also actually connecting the folks to reputable partners, and trying to take away some of that legwork, so that folks know what's there for them. We connect them to folks, and then ideally, what we do is we try to find low-cost services for folks.
How do you manage that? Finding the low-cost services for people.
Well, again, we look to our partners, and we look to what's out there, what's existing. We have worked with a number of title attorneys over the years. You know, we've built over 200 homes. So that's 200 closings that we've brought to title attorneys, you know, throughout the city. So now we come back to those folks that we have brought business to and say, hey, let's try to connect. It's in all of our best interest for us to connect folks with these resources. You have now, we're setting you up with whether potential long-term clients.
Yes.
And in exchange for that, these are folks who might not be your clients. In exchange for that, would you consider providing some pro bono service or some low-cost services in exchange for us directing people to you? And that's really have to do it. Again, it's a collective effort.
How do you find them? I'm curious about this, because when you talk about people providing services like landlords, we're talking about a public-private partnership, sort of, and lawyers who they have to make money to stay in business. So how do you find them? Is this pro bono work?
Yeah, so again, these are folks that we have existing relationships with. So we're not cold calling folks. We're asking people that we have experience working with, that we have brought a lot of business to. And again, you know, over the years, we've been at this in a couple of different iterations, but we've been at this at 15 years now. So we formed a lot of relationships. Again, we've got a lot of great nonprofit partners. There's a lot of information and resource sharing amongst our peers and our partners. So the idea is that we're creating this pool of resources for folks that has been vetted from experience. You know, we want to be the guinea pigs first before we send folks, send folks over.
Yeah.
So really, again, these are relationships that we've created over time. The city has a lot of resources. I can, as an example, there are resources that the city has for folks who need aging in place modifications at their home. There are resources that the city can provide that allow people to make repairs on their homes. And what we do is we're just connecting the dots. We've got relationships with the city, and we're just connecting folks with resources that are already existing. We're just making the process easier for them to find it.
Now, the one thing that we didn't talk about, and I'm kind of biased because I'm on their board, Unity of Greater New Orleans, people who find themselves houseless.
Yes.
How have you been able to assist them?
Again, we have primarily focused on home ownership.
Okay.
There is a definite interest in the unhoused. There are definite interest people returning from incarceration. We're just now starting to have conversations with some of those folks. Again, trying to figure out a collective effort. We actually were having conversations with a 3D printing company out of Austin, Texas, who got their start by creating housing for the unhoused. So again, we work with partners. We look to see what other cities are doing, what's working in cities that have, such as Atlanta, that have similar demographics and similar size, and we try to bring what works in other cities here. So it's really, again, it's about engagement. It's about active conversations. It's about not trying to reinvent the wheel. Again, there are a lot of great folks doing advocacy for the unhoused. We just want to assist, and if there's a way for us to assist, maybe that may be tiny houses, tiny homes might be a solution. We've been working on trying to get the city to allow ADUs, accessory dwelling units.
Accessory dwelling units. Define that.
So that's an opportunity to build a smaller house, a livable house on the same site as an existing house. Obviously land is not, land is limited.
Sure.
So if there's an opportunity to maximize impact, if there's potential for rental income for the owner there. So we have to think creatively. We have to work in concert with the folks that are doing the work. We do not claim to be experts on working with the unhoused, but we can certainly work with those who know more than we do, and if we can provide a service and we can provide solutions, that's what we look to do.
So you're constantly thinking about ways to improve the situation.
Absolutely, because it's about scale. We're in the midst of an affordable housing crisis. We have been for some time. So we need to be thinking about hundreds and thousands of units. So we really need to think bigger. We need to think about scale, and it's really going to take a concerted effort and a group effort.
All right.
We're just a part of the solution.
So O.G. Alexander, CEO of Housing Plus.
People's Housing Plus.
People's Housing Plus, thank you for being here. You sound very excited. We're excited for you.
I am, thank you.
And we want you to bring some of that energy back when you have more to discuss.
Absolutely, thank you very much.
You're very welcome. We will be back with more affordable housing matters after this, so don't go far. The Louisiana Affordable Housing Management Association is the leading voice for affordable housing, advocating on behalf of multifamily property managers who provide affordable housing in Louisiana. Let's take a look at how they prepare these managers for success on their properties.
Each year, the directors of this conference search for speakers that can not only teach the managers of Louisiana the latest techniques in effective management, they also look for speakers who can inspire. Mandy Ports, Vice President and incoming President of the Louisiana Affordable Housing Management Association, speaks about what she wants the managers to take away from this year's conference.
Really, we need a new energy. Those managers need to be motivated. During COVID, we had to alter a lot of our practices and procedures, and just during COVID, we kind of got off track. We haven't been able to have one of these meetings in a couple of years, and so we really felt that it was key to bring them all in, and we had a really good motivational speaker yesterday just to bring some new energy to the group and bring energy to what we do, and just kind of get everybody back on track with normal policies and procedures.
One of the speakers that Mrs. Ports mentioned was Mrs. Molly Hoskins. who spoke of her own personal tragedies and how one can overcome those tragedies by embracing a healthy mental attitude.
Mental health has definitely declined since COVID, and especially because of COVID. People are dealing with job losses, people are dealing with loss of loved ones, people are dealing with loneliness, people can't afford the high prices that they're paying at times anymore because they've been on a strict budget and their budget hasn't changed but prices have increased. So not only are they dealing with items that increase their stress level, but then they deal with other things such as loneliness, isolation, that can increase depression on that side as well. I feel the most important change that we need to see on a management level is twofold: respecting people's time off, setting clear boundaries for ourselves, and really kind of incorporating good mental health techniques, whatever that is that works for that person, starting to focus on improving their own mental health and working that into how they function as a team.
Also at this year's conference, the managers were joined by the president of the Louisiana Housing Corporation, and he took the time to answer some important questions concerning affordable housing in Louisiana.
We're excited to be here at the LAMA conference this year, and really we're here to express the partnership that LHC brings to LAMA. We have a mission that we deliver of safe, affordable, energy-efficient housing at LHC, but we can't do that without the partnership of organizations like LAMA. So really our conversation this morning was to focus on the resources that LHC brings to the table, but also how we plan to help our partners at LAMA throughout the state and the properties that they manage and the people that they serve with greater partnership, a greater enhancement on increasing our housing stock, but also preserving our housing stock, and ultimately just being a resource to these housing managers, owners, and developers across the state. Safe, affordable, energy-efficient housing is a critical need. If it weren't one, we wouldn't be existing as the Louisiana Housing Corporation. And so what we do is through over 23 housing programs, we work to not only provide the housing, but make sure that we can keep people in their homes, make sure we provide them the assistance that they need along the way, whether that's through our energy assistance program, our water assistance program. We provide multifamily developments that are for quality, safe, affordable rentals, but also we like to make sure that people can become homeowners. So through our single family programs, we work with citizens across Louisiana to make them homeowners. And so when you look at the average income in our state, it's important that we have affordable housing. It's important that we have safe, energy efficient housing to make sure that we're pushing our housing stock forward and ultimately making Louisiana better. Statistics tell us that it's not. We have a way to go in terms of making sure that we have quality, affordable, energy-efficient housing in communities across Louisiana. Not only do the lack of development impacts that, but even disasters impact that. Every time we have a disaster, you often see us losing some of our housing stock, especially affordable housing. And so that makes our work even more important and make sure that we have to turn up our level of intensity to work not only at LHC, but with local government, with partners like LAMA, to make sure that we are preserving our existing housing stock, but also adding to that housing stock to answer that need. I want them to feel like LHC is a part of the work that they do, that it's not LHC and LAMA, but we may be in different organizations, we may be in different job titles, but we're here to serve the same mission. And so really tearing down any barriers of communication, making sure that we're partnering together, make sure we fully understand their needs, LHC's needs, the resources that we each have, and when we come together, we're better together. So.
And that will conclude our program for this evening. We would again like to thank our guest, Mr. O.G. Alexander, for joining us today on our program. Please remember, if you would like to rewatch this or any of our past episodes of this program, just scan the QR code on the screen and it will take you to the WLAE YouTube page. There you can view this and you can view other programs at your own leisure. Thank you for joining us today. I'm Norman Robinson, and we will see you next time right here on Affordable Housing Matters.